there will come a point, I'm positive, that Dan Muse is going to have to make some kind of decision related to his goaltending. This wouldn't appear to be that point. But if it were, good morning to you. Good Tuesday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Penguins. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or baseball, I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Pirates in the same place that you found this. It's Penguins versus Canucks tonight at PPG Paints Arena. That's a 7:08 p.m. face-off. I'll be there covering it for DK Pittsburgh Sports. And it's beyond a pretty good bet that Artur Shilovs is going to be in goal against his former team/organization. That's how these things tend to go, not just because of tradition or whatever, but it's perceived that your goaltender is going to have a really good book on that other team's shooters from having faced them in countless practices. Now, the counter to that, of course, yeah, right. They see him too. But it's still how it lines up. Shilovs was, of course, the Calder Cup playoff MVP for the Abbotsford Canucks, Abbotsford being another town in British Columbia. So not only was he the playoff MVP, but the Canucks won the championship, which is something that's not a sentence that exactly rolls off the tongue. And yet, Jim Rutherford and Patrick Allvin parted with Shilovs for a fourth-round draft pick. He's here in Pittsburgh to get his opportunity. So far, he's been, well, let's talk about both of them together before I get to that. They've been good. The Penguins' overall defensive metrics, meaning the 15 goals that they've allowed as a team, or from the goaltending perspective as a tandem, whereas their shots for and shots against and other figures don't necessarily line up with that, tells you that they've both been pretty good. This was Muse on that subject yesterday to reporters in Cranberry, including our own Jose Negron of DK Pittsburgh Sports.
And I think both guys have played well. I mean, you've seen it. If you go back, obviously with Shilovs coming in there, shut out there in his first game, he played really well. I thought he played really well there out on this past trip as well. And then, Tristan, I think, obviously it's a great game, that's all fresh on our minds there with the shutout at San Jose. I thought that Islanders game, he played really well. Like, he had a very strong game. That was a game there where we gave up some big chances at key moments in the game that he came up with some big saves there to give us help get us that win at home. And so I think the biggest thing with both guys is I think you're seeing growth. I think you're seeing just both in practices and in games that we're early in the season, but if you look at that body of work from training camp until now, I think both guys have definitely shown growth, and that's probably the biggest thing we're looking for at this point in the year.
Muse went on to reiterate something he'd said entering the season and coming out of training camp, that he's not about to commit to one guy or the other. He doesn't really see the need to do that they're evaluating the goaltenders the same as they are other players, mostly on a game-to-game basis. And again, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the handling as well as their performance to date. To get into the numbers, Jari in his 3 games is 2-1. Shilovs in his 3 games is 2-1. Jari has a 2.35 goals against average. Shilovs 2.67. Jari has a 922 save percentage, which is outstanding. And Shilovs has a 908. Now, what I want to do here, and I'm not going to do this today, is make a case for Jari, because I've really liked what I've seen from him to date, just as I really liked what I saw from him when he came up and made his big bounce back late last season, beginning with that wonderful performance in St. Paul against the Wild. But I understand why they're doing this, so I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to tell you things that I could take back in a heartbeat when we're only half dozen games into the schedule. I feel like Jari's been the much better goaltender to date, but I will also acknowledge to you a bias, and probably not the way you think. The bias is that I've seen Jari when he's sharp. I know what he looks like when he's sharp. This is it. I don't know much about Shilov's at all. I saw and have continued to see traits from him beginning at Madison Square Garden, and understanding that was a shutout, where he was popping rebounds right back out into the slot. He continued to do that the other night in Los Angeles. I don't see the same athleticism or mechanics in his movements that I do with Jari, but I also understand that different goaltenders from different countries adopt different styles. Shilov's, of course, will be Latvia's goaltender in the coming Olympics. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't add on the subject of goaltending. Young Sergei Murashov off to a really strong start with Wilkes-Barre, exactly what you would have wanted down there as well. 3 games from him so far, he's given up 6 goals, an obvious 2.0 goals against average. He's stopped 80 of 86 shots for a .930 save percentage. And amid Wilkes-Barre's 4-0 start, he's 3-0. So, good stuff so far at the game's most important position. When we come back, J1Q. For those of you who are doing real work in construction, in a warehouse, if you're a mechanic, you want reliable, comfortable gear to help you perform well on the job. Brunt Workwear's got you. They've got waterproof boots, safety toe, soft toe, pull-on, lace-up, whatever you need. You can wear them to work, and if they're not right for you, send them back. I don't know of any other brand doing that. Brunt was tired of the workwear brands out there cutting corners. You work too hard to be stuck in uncomfortable boots that don't hold up. So they built something better. Boots that are insanely comfortable and built for any job site. For a limited time, our listeners get $10 off. Just head to bruntworkwear.com. Use the code DK Sports and you're good to go. After you order, they'll ask you where you heard about Brunt. Do us a favor here at DK Pittsburgh Sports and tell them it was from this show. Today's J1Q comes from Mike, who says, DK, I do not think that Corsi 4 percentage tells the full story of the Penguins so far this year. In the past few years, the Penguins have done well on that stat, but not won games. This year, while struggling on Corsi 4 percentage, they're actually 5th in the NHL in high danger Corsi 4 percentage. And I think that this implies that they're securing better chances, such as big players like Justin Brazeau standing in front of the net and limiting more risky ones. Do you think this focus on better shots has been intentional? For anybody, first of all, who doesn't know what Mike's referring to, on yesterday's program, I expressed some small skepticism about the Penguins' 4-2 start. I pointed out a lot of things I liked, but one that I didn't was that they're giving up a few too many shots and they're not registering enough shots. This, when factored out into shot attempts, which means you just try to shoot it on goal. It might get blocked, it might miss, but you at least attempted the act of shooting, which implies that you're somewhere close to the other team's net, which means you get bonus points for, possession. And I went on to say that I don't really take these numbers all that seriously. For one thing, it's just 6 games in. For another, the style of play that they want to have consistently was what we saw in the opener in New York against the Rangers, where they just smother you all over the rink. But within that smothering, they generate, chances in volume. They put the puck on net often. That's what Corsi 4 is for anybody who's new to hockey analytics. It's counting shot attempts at either end. Now, when you go further, Mike, and say that the Penguins have done well in high danger Corsi for percentage. What that means, and this is really simple, is shots that are attempted from a very specific spot on the rink. Believe it or not, they don't track what's actually dangerous because they can't. That's data that's not yet really available. To word this another way, Alexander Ovechkin is pretty dangerous from the left dot. If somebody makes him a lateral pass and he one-times it, I would consider that to be a high-danger shot. But that's not what this is. It's just from a spot on the rink. And what's more, that spot on the rink most often is going to be seized upon by teams of a very high skill level because they're able to make passes into the slot, which is another statistic that now gets tracked, meaning a completed pass into the slot. And then that person who receives that pass will do a good job of finishing it. It's really not about planting some big redwood there to put out some dated references like a Tim Kerr or a John LeClaire, or more recently in the franchise's history, a Patrick Hornqvist. The Penguins don't have that player. I don't know that Brazeau is that player. Just because you're big doesn't mean you automatically fill out a whole bunch of other check marks. So, no, I'm not seeing something that's intentional. I'm not seeing something that's a significant enough pattern yet. I'll believe in a pattern like that when I start seeing more guys finish off, say, for example, plays that Sidney Crosby will make. He's perennially one of the leaders in the passes into the slot category. Erik Karlsson is one of the best in hockey history at that. At the moment, there's not a lot being done with those. So let's see how it goes. Let's see how it plays out. One way or another, I can assure you that the Penguins themselves want more shot attempts for fewer shot attempts against. And maybe they'll get back to that tonight against an opponent in Vancouver that, although nobody really ever knows what to expect from them, and by that I mean on a year-to-year basis, they do have some guys who can really make you pay a price for not defending them tightly. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Penguins. If you want to follow my coverage of the game tonight live from the rink, if you want to read the column that I have that'll come out after the game, if you want to participate in our commenting community, including live throughout the game, the place to do that is on our app, DK Pittsburgh Sports, not to be confused with anywhere else that you would find our various programs. Download the DK Pittsburgh Sports app for free into your Apple or Android device. And then after that, email me directly, dk@dkpittsburghsports.com, and I will hook you up with a significant discount that you won't say no to. That'll get you the really good version of the app. It eliminates all the ads, allows you to comment, communicate with the reporters, all kinds of really, really good stuff. So again, email me, dk@dkpittsburghsports.com. And we'll do this again tomorrow.